That's fine.
Yeah.
We're about
That
to
means
start.
we
and I'm
got
gonna-
3 minutes after the 5
right.
minutes, then, is that it?
Hi, we're here at the National Conference for Media Reform. I'm Joellen Kaiser, and today I'm talking to Charles Benton, who's the chair of the Benton Foundation, which is all about advocating for the public interest in the digital age. Charles, can you tell us more about your foundation and the work you do?
Well, thank you. I'm very pleased to be here, and in fact, 3 days ago we published a new brochure on celebrating our 30th anniversary, and I think one of the things I'm most proud of was the report that we did that was inspired by Jim Kohlenberger that linked the technology of broadband to the quotes, our nation's critical challenges. So it's using technology and innovation to address our nation's critical challenge. Basic broadband goals laid out. And in this publication, which came out in December of 2008, note the date.
Okay, 2008, that's Obama, right?
That's Obama, one month after Obama was elected, and before there was a national broadband plan, which Markey wrote into the ARRA, and that's why...
Excuse me, what is the AARA?
American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. It's the stimulus fund, money that was passed in February of 2008 to hopefully reignite get the economy moving again with jobs and economic development. So that, in fact, ARRA was 1/3 tax breaks, 1/3 money back to the states for first responders, teachers, etc., and 1/3 for investing in the future, including $7 billion that's come through the states and given directly by the NTIA at Commerce, and the $2.5 billion in agriculture.
Let me just interrupt you for a minute. Why is broadband such an important element for investing in our future? Why broadband?
Well, actually, it's very interesting. There was a universal service fund that was focused on the telephones. The idea of connecting everybody through telephony, and I think that universal service fund got us up to 97% penetration. Of course, now the issue in the 21st century is the transition from telephone to broadband, analog telephone, digital broadband. So the underlying assumption is that by giving everyone an opportunity to connect and to connect to the national network is a good idea. That's part of the American way of equal opportunity for all. And so the notion of universal broadband, which the Benton Foundation is really basic broadband goals here, universal broadband is very much our number one priority, is what we can do with the National Broadband Plan and with universal service reform. Now, a very interesting point is that while this $7 billion from commerce and agriculture through BTOP and BIP, it was a one-time infusion and was not likely to happen in the near future. Now, again, especially given the financial constraints, the Universal Service Fund is spending $8 billion, over $8 billion a year. So the way to sustain this pump priming effort of the BTOP and BIP is with universal service reform.
Let me ask you a question. Who doesn't have broadband now? It just seems like almost everybody is on the web.
Rural America is underserved. The elderly, disabled folks, Hispanic minority populations, we do not have equal access to broadband, and that is very much the mission of not only our foundation but NTIA. Larry Strickling. It's very interesting. Last year I was elected chairman of the Partnership for Connected Illinois, which is one of the 56 state organizations that are dedicated. It's the State Broadband Data and Development Act, or part of the NTIA. So we are the Illinois state organization, and what as the Benton Foundation, for example, is working on Lifeline Link Up, which is one of the 4 major programs of.
What is that?
Well, Lifeline Link Up. Okay, universal service reform. It's 4 parts. Number 1 is the high cost area, which is about $4 to $4.5 billion, mostly for rural telephony. Then there's the E-rate, which is for schools, libraries, and rural health. Well, schools and libraries. And then the third thing is Lifeline Link Up, which is for poor folks that people that need help with both the equipment and the access to the networks, and that's about $1 billion too. And then there's the rural health care, which is about $250 million. So those are the 4 programs of universal service, and the one that we're focusing on is the Lifeline Link Up, and we're trying to respond to the FCC's NPRM, Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, and work on the rules, whereas in Illinois and North Carolina, we're trying to build models, and pilot projects is the way. It's because we can't just wish this into existence, we have to work it into existence.
Can you give me an example of a model that you're using, like one of the projects?
Well, I think the best model that I'm aware of at this point is the one North Carolina has developed, where they have they've mobilized the research community also to try to figure out how access to broadband can be expanded for economically for disadvantaged families, exactly, and people. So the model they're building, we want to look at very carefully and see if we can adopt that in Illinois. And that's a wonderful illustration of Benton working on the policy and the rules, and the Partnership for Connected Illinois working on the practice and trying to implement those rules. So we're very excited about that.
Wow, we have just a little bit of time left. I would like you to talk about what you want to see happen nationally. What should people be mobilized about nationally with broadband?
Well, the biggest nut to crack with the universal service reform is this high cost area, and there's not been a lot of attention paid to that. Because it's mostly been a struggle among the incumbents, especially the smaller phone companies, and so it's dividing up the pie among these small. Now, the New America, the public knowledge, I happened to run into Harold Feld as we were checking into the hotel, Seaport Hotel.
Here in Boston.
Here in Boston, right, a night before last. And we had an hour and a half with just a happenstance. Actually, Harold used to work for us as a consultant after you left Andy Schwartzman and joined Public Knowledge with Gigi Sohn. One of the great leaders. Anyway, Harold is really going to focus Public Knowledge on the issues around the high-cost area. So we want to work with him as we are trying to take a lead on the Lifeline Link Up.
Thank you so much, Charles Benton from the Benton Foundation. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Joellen. Pleasure. My pleasure.